Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to HeadCannon. We are here today because I had the absolute pleasure this weekend of watching Revenge of the Sith on the big screen for the first time in my life. It was an honor. It was a pleasure. It damn near brought a tear to my eye. And most importantly, it got me excited to talk about Star Wars again for the first time in a very long time. Which is why I've gathered you here today to create my Star Wars movie tier list, where we're gonna rank. If you don't know what a tier list is, that's your problem. You know what we're doing. And we're starting off right off the jump, saving the worst for first. It is The Rise of Skywalker. And boy, do I have a lot of negative things to say about this movie. So let's start with the positives. Or should I say positive singular? Because the only good thing this movie does is get rid of the awful character of Rose. And say she has to go study for a test or something. She's not in the fucking movie. No real reason given, just we got rid of her. I appreciate that. I appreciate how shamelessly they push her to the side. And look, I can appreciate they were in a tough position making this movie, because The Last Jedi did not do them any favors in trying to conclude this trilogy that had no cohesion to it whatsoever. The plot of this movie is so asinine and incoherent, it's laughable. I can't even believe professional writers wrote this, where they have this Sith dagger that lines up on the planet, if you look at it from a specific angle, lined up with the Death Star wreckage, and all this stupid shit. Adding that to the fact that this movie, by bringing Palpatine back to life for no reason whatsoever, absolutely destroys the first 6 movies of the franchise. We watched 2 trilogies about how Anakin Skywalker is the chosen one who will bring balance to the Force. We see what that means. We see the pain of it. We see the glory. We see the redemption. It's beautiful. But guess what? Actually, all 6 of those movies were for fucking nothing, because Palpatine's just back. Anakin's not the chosen one. It's Rey. And we watched all that for no reason. Look, not every movie's going to be a hit, some are just bad, but it's a different story when a movie is an installment in a franchise and it retroactively destroys what came before it and ruins what made the franchise special. That sucks. Like the rest of the sequel trilogy also, the humor in this is just not for me, man. If you like it, that's fine. I don't like it. I don't think Marvel-style humor fits Star Wars at all, even though it fits Marvel pretty well sometimes. I think the best story they could have had here would have been Kylo turns to the light side as Rey turns to the dark side, and then they pull some kind of Jon Snow shit where he has to kill her to protect the galaxy, and it's really sad, or they rule together and they bring balance that way. But either way, these new characters bringing balance to the Force undermines everything Anakin was about. Not to mention this movie has all these ridiculous fake out deaths, like the Chewbacca fake out. Oh no, he's fine. And then it says, oh, we're going to wipe C-3PO's memory. And it's like, no, actually, we're not going to do that. And then the entire climax of this movie is essentially just stolen from Avengers Endgame, with all the ships showing up. It just doesn't fit Star Wars, man. It's just not good. And then they introduce this force healing thing that is not really present in any of the other mainline movies, that kind of destroys a lot of plot points throughout the franchise. But before we move on, I will say one more nice thing, alright? Palpatine's red robes look pretty fucking cool. They looked great in Battlefront 2. I like the outfit. So this right here is the most obvious D tier I have ever seen, and I'm going to put it right where it belongs. And up next, we have The Last Jedi. I understand this might be a lot of people's last place, and I don't judge you or blame you in any way. It's neck and neck. It's really a pick your poison case. The Rise of Skywalker ruins Anakin, and The Last Jedi ruins Luke. So whoever you care about more, you're probably going to hate that movie more. So let's start with the positives here. Kylo Ren carries this movie 100%. While he's not a villain I would have wanted for the sequel trilogy, they do explore him in a very interesting way, and he's pretty much the only character that gets that treatment. And another thing I will say is that the planets in this movie are very cool. Crate is an awesome idea for a planet, and so is Canto Bight. And even in Rise of Skywalker to an extent, I like that mountain planet they go to. Unfortunately, this movie has 3 main plots, and none of them are good. Let's start with the big controversial boy, Rey and Luke Skywalker. Why would you do this to Luke? Why would you turn him into such a pathetic, sniveling little bitch? And not just in a way that's like, oh, I can't believe he fell from grace like this. That can be done in an interesting way. But in a way that directly counters his entire character arc that we watched in the last trilogy. This is the guy who stood up to his mentors, to everyone, who said, Vader cannot be saved, you have to kill him. He said, I cannot kill my own father. I know there's good in him. I would rather die than kill my own father. And that is exactly what saved Vader. This is the Luke who proved that attachments should not be forbidden to the Jedi, and that's a huge reason why the Jedi lost Anakin. So when we see his Jedi Order, it should be successful. It should be better. We should be seeing the Jedi at the height of their power almost. And the Luke Skywalker we get here is prepared to kill his nephew because he has a nightmare about him turning evil. And on top of that, completely fails to make a new Jedi Order. Really for no reason other than they want Rey to do it later, because they just don't like Luke as a character, I guess. And this plotline is enough to make me rate this movie this low on its own. But we're not done, because the Canto Bight storyline is absolutely awful. It's so stupid, it's so unrelated to anything going on and meaningless. Rose, oh my god, the worst character since Jar Jar Binks, easily. All the potential Finn had to be an interesting character in this trilogy just goes down the drain in this movie. And if all we were going to get from The Rise of Skywalker was that really dumb half-assed story where he's riding the horses on the Star Destroyers and all that, instead of a deep exploration of what it's like to be a turned stormtrooper, then I would have rathered him just die in this movie instead of Rose save him. It would have been infinitely more interesting. And then you have the double-crossing gambler guy who's basically supposed to be Lando Calrissian, except he's just not as good. And then we get to Poe's story, which really boils down to an admiral who refuses to tell anyone her plan for some reason, just pride, I guess, but she secretly has a plan. Trust her. Just trust me, I have a plan. And then Poe is the bad guy for not assuming that she has a plan when she refuses to tell them the plan for absolutely no good reason. And that's about it. Poe equals bad. Listen to your superiors and shut the fuck up. That's basically his story, and it's not a good one. And then they have the hyperspace ramming scene that is visually incredibly cool, but again, destroys every space battle they've ever had in Star Wars by existing. And that's really what is so frustrating about the sequels to me, is that they just over and over, with the writing, show that they did not appreciate or value what came before in Star Wars, before their movies. When you're writing sequels, you have to account for if what you're writing is going to diminish or change what it meant in the movies that came before. It's just obvious. And they knew before this movie came out that Carrie Fisher passed away. So if they already had a death scene written for her, for Leia, why didn't they just keep it? Instead of bringing her back to do absolutely nothing in Episode 9, when her dying here would have been more significant for Kylo's character regardless. It's just everything about this movie is so sloppy. The whole Rey's identity thing. Who are Rey's parents? Oh, they're nobody. And then the next movie, oh, actually, she's Palpatine's daughter. It's like they just have no fucking clue what the goal, what the end point is for this trilogy. And then the end fight in the throne room is very, very poorly choreographed. Probably the worst choreographed fight in the entire series to date. But I don't mind Kylo killing Snoke like a lot of people do. At least it's a little bit different from the Vader-Emperor dynamic, since Kylo and Snoke are the same exact characters, essentially, just worse. God, I hate this goddamn movie so much. Like, I'll say one more nice thing and then we'll move on. At least some of the First Order designs look kind of cool. I think Kylo's ship looks cool, and I think the walkers look more aggressive than they did in the original trilogy. I like that at least. But what do you know, this movie's going in the D tier, where it belongs. If you think it's below Rise of Skywalker, I don't have too big a problem with that. And finally, we're almost done talking about this god-awful trilogy. We have The Force Awakens. And here's the thing about The Force Awakens. It's a lot better than the other two. But it's like every movie in this trilogy is made with the goal of destroying some aspect of the story of Star Wars. And the thing is, if The Force Awakens was a standalone movie not tied to a franchise, I would like it a lot. Because, of course I would. It's a carbon copy of A New Hope. The problem is, when you reset the universe to be exactly what it was in the first movie you ever made, you destroy every movie in between the first movie and that one. I mean, why did we watch 3 movies of Luke Skywalker fighting the Empire, taking down 2 Death Stars, redeeming Darth Vader, and overthrowing the Emperor to bring the Republic back, just for everything to get reset in the next movie? Why did we watch Anakin bring balance to the Force just for another Emperor to pop up out of nowhere with another Darth Vader? And a lot of people already had a problem with the 2 Death Stars in the original trilogy, so you're going to have the people that are essentially just the Empire again make another one? Where the hell is Luke Skywalker? Why did he do all this work and save the galaxy just to disappear and fuck off? Han just fully regresses from all his character development in the original trilogy to be what we saw him in the first movie. And they try to pass off the Force is real, all of it, like that moment, like it's some big profound character development, when we've already seen him say that in the original trilogy. He already had that character development. And the thing is, Rey being so incredibly overpowered at everything, just like Anakin was, is not justified, unlike Anakin. Anakin was birthed from the Force. He's space Jesus. And then we learn that he's been molded basically by Palpatine his whole life. Like, he was destined and groomed for this. Rey is just some random person until they decide in the third movie to call a Hail Mary and just say she's related to Palpatine for some reason. The Force Awakens essentially dooms the sequel trilogy to fail. Because best case scenario, you basically just repeat the original trilogy. And then the end state of the galaxy is the exact same as it is implied to be by the end of Return of the Jedi. And the thing I dislike the most about it is that with the prequels, man, the prequels have some faults. I'm not saying they don't. But guess what? The prequels added so much awesome set dressing, so much cool shit. So, like the droids and the clones, all this awesome, unique things that differentiate it and make it feel like a different era than the original trilogy. And the sequels play it so safe. There is zero creativity with any of the designs. It's so lame. It's just the Rebels and the Empire again. And we don't even get to see the Republic be on top because by the end of the first movie, the Empire has destroyed the whole government, pretty much. And we don't even really see that. We only know that if you follow Star Wars outside the movie because it doesn't explain it properly. And while I like Kylo's development across the next two movies, he's by far the best part of the sequels, why would you make the villain some, like, whiny, wannabe Darth Vader? It's so lame. I don't get why they didn't just change it up. Why didn't they make the villains the Yuzang Vong? Step away from the Force, have, like, an existential threat to the whole galaxy, or change the state of the galaxy. Why don't you present the galaxy as being not a unified government anymore, where, like, the New Republic has, like, half the galaxy and the rest is split up between all these basically independent kingdoms that are, some of them can be like post-imperial groups or whatever, and have Thrawn start to unite them, and it's like an impending doom kind of thing, and then maybe you all come together at the end, you have to ally with Thrawn to defeat the greater threat, and just step away from having Sith villains. Step away from the dark side of the Force for a while. Wouldn't it be so cool and scary if some guy who doesn't have the Force is like taking down the Jedi Order, It'd be incredible. You'd have different kinds of villains, different set dressing, a different vibe to the trilogy, and we saw the fall of the Republic, we saw the fall of the Empire. Let's see how they rebuild the Republic now. It'd be a whole different vibe. It'd be incredible. And I'm not saying everything in Legends is good. I've seen a lot of really stupid shit that was in Legends, but some of it was good, and it was already written. All you had to do was take it. So to summarize, it's a decent movie if it was on its own, but it's not. And it's a carbon copy of New Hope, and it existing again invalidates the whole original trilogy and dooms the sequel trilogy. So it's going in D tier, but I will say it is a fair bit above the next two movies. Let's all take a breath, because things got ugly there. But thank God we are past all the movies I despise in Star Wars. Because the next movie said, we're getting out of D tier with this one, boys. And that movie is Solo. Solo is a C tier movie. It's alright. It's fun. It's completely unnecessary. Did we need a Han Solo backstory movie? Absolutely fucking not. But guess what? It's alright. I think everyone in the cast is fun. I like the crew he assembles. I really like Woody Harrelson as the villain and how he trains him to be a smuggler, basically. I'm going to be objective here and ignore the fact that I'm in love with Emilia Clarke, but her character was great too, and I think it lays a good foundation for him to fall in love with Leia. I like it a lot. I like her portrayal. I like the position she's in, where she's stuck between a rock and a hard place. I like Dryden Voss as a villain. He's entertaining. I really like it. I like exploring the crime syndicates, man. I like the backstory of how him and Chewie met. I think all the actors did a good job, especially Lando Calrissian. He killed that. He was super entertaining. It's just a fun heist movie. My only really big gripe with this movie is the stupid plot twist with Enfys Nest. I don't understand why all these movies lately think it's some great exciting plot twist to take this big scary villain like Enfys Nest they built up and show that it's actually secretly a little girl. Why do that? I just don't understand. Also, they definitely did not need to do the weird, like, Lando relationship thing with the robot. I just don't understand why that's in the movie. That's odd. And my last gripe is that I wish we had seen more of Han Solo in the Imperial Navy. I think that could have been very interesting. I don't know why they skipped over all that. I think the humor in this movie is funny. It fits Star Wars. I like getting to see the Kessel Run. I think all the planets like Corellia and Kessel are super interesting. I like it a lot. I like exploring the criminal underworld. I like seeing all the crime syndicates. The little Darth Maul cameo is nice too. Finally seeing him live action again, confirming that he lives. I just don't think that the rebellion needs to be in this movie at all. But I kind of wish this got a sequel, man. It's really disappointing. I would have loved to see a movie that was about the crime syndicates putting a price on Han's head and sending Boba Fett after him, and the whole movie is like a cat and mouse game and establishes like a real rivalry between them in between episode 3 and 4. That would have been a lot of fun. But yeah, this is a solid C-tier heist movie, and I like it. It fits Star Wars. And now, getting back to the mainline movies, we have The Phantom Menace. There is so much to like in this movie, especially with having the context that this is the first time we've seen the old Jedi Order that's only been talked about in the originals when this came out. They built a whole world that was distinct, felt different, but lived up to the expectations of what people had in their mind about what the Jedi Order was when they watched the original trilogy. I know some people probably don't like how it was done, but I do, and it's my tier list. I love how early they establish the flaws in the Jedi Order. Qui-Gon is such a great character, the best one in this movie by far, and probably one of my favorite characters in Star Wars overall, even though he's only in this one movie. Ewan McGregor is perfect as Obi-Wan, and Maul is super cool, even though he doesn't have much dialogue. And of course, the Duel of the Fates fight is so fucking good. One of the best, if not the best, in all of Star Wars. And I don't know if other people feel this way, but I love in stories when you get to see someone as a little innocent child and then like watch their story and all the hardships and trauma they go through and then see who they are at the end of it. I think that's so satisfying, and seeing young Anakin knowing he's going to become Darth Vader as this bubbly, innocent little kid who wants to help the world is really satisfying to me. I like it a lot, and it's very sad to look back on after you've seen the whole series. This movie also sets up Palpatine's rise to power, and I love how he is just running circles around people this whole trilogy, and it really fleshes him out. Even though he's a one-note, like just straight-up evil villain, it makes him interesting to see how he achieves becoming the Emperor. I like that the Jedi reject Anakin because of his age, but then Obi-Wan trains him anyway out of respect for Qui-Gon. It's a very good start to Anakin's character, knowing where he ends up. And then from a settings perspective, the droids are awesome. They're very different. Naboo is a great looking world. The Gungan city looks incredible, and I can't believe we never got it in Battlefront 2. It will forever haunt me. Coruscant is so great as the galactic capital. Even the designs of the starfighters are awesome. Hell, I'm not really a fan of the Gungans, but even the Gungan like shields and their tech is super cool. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh wow, if this movie's so great like you say, why is it ranked right above Solo? That's a great question. And the answer is a character named Jar Jar Binks, who drags this movie down a whole tier in my ranking. This would be a B tier movie to me, if only he was not interrupting every 5 minutes with the stupidest, dumbest joke you can possibly think of. I get where they were coming from. He wanted to make it for kids, you know, it's a big, funny, goofy character to laugh at. Even as a kid, I did not like Jar Jar. He is so stupid, and it is such a shame because every other aspect of this movie is solid as hell to me. If only he wasn't in it. The only other thing I really have a problem with is that Anakin just wanders up there and blows up the ship, and then all the droids just turn off because of that, which is just a stupid design, but at least within the lore, you know, the Separatists learn from it because the next droids don't do that. They don't have the Lucrehulk ship controlling all the droids anymore. But Anakin having to leave his mother behind while he's too old to start training is great. It sets up the next movie very well and lays the foundation for Anakin's path to the dark side. And of course his relationship with Padme, because she's the only person who's ever been kind to him essentially, and took him away from slavery. And I think it's really great how Qui-Gon's character serves to point out the flaws in the Jedi Order off the jump. And even though he's essentially the ideal Jedi, even he leaves Anakin's mother to be a slave, which makes the conflict way more interesting in my opinion than, say, the Rebels in the Empire, where the Rebels in the original trilogy are just clearly the good guys. And that's why it's a C-tier movie. I would say C+. It's very close to a B, but Jar Jar is just too much. Next up, with our first B-tier movie, it is Attack of the Clones. Let me tell you something. I absolutely love cool new shiny things to look at in Star Wars movies. I love it when the world feels different, when they introduce cool ideas, and guess what? The clones are awesome. The Separatists are awesome. The exploration of bounty hunters and Jango Fett and Boba Fett is awesome. I love it. Exploring Geonosis in the droid factory is so cool. And getting to see all the Jedi together fighting one big battle, it's just fan service at its finest. It's so great. Count Dooku is a great villain who further explores the corruption of the Republic and the Jedi and makes a conflict interesting. I love gray area. I love that he taught Qui-Gon Jinn, and it was one of the biggest reasons Qui-Gon was so independent compared to the other Jedi. And my favorite thing about this whole movie is probably the way that Obi-Wan's completely failing to reach Anakin on a fundamental level. It shows that the Duel of the Fates was the Duel of the Fates. If Qui-Gon had won, Anakin's fate would be different. He would have been trained properly by someone who could teach him well and keep him from becoming Darth Vader. But Obi-Wan, though well-intentioned, is just not cut out to do it. And seeing Obi-Wan as this overbearing parental figure makes seeing them as brothers and partners in the third movie that much more satisfying to me. And again, we get further exploration of Palpatine's rise to power by being a goddamn genius in this movie. I like it. I like the plot. I like how at least Jar Jar has a purpose and that his incompetence is used to propel Palpatine further. Anakin going back to Tatooine to save his mother and her dying in his arms is heartbreaking, and it lays the foundation for his path to the dark side. He tells Obi-Wan about his nightmares, about his mom dying, and he doesn't care. He says just let it go, and in the third movie, when he's having them about Padme, and everyone tells him the same thing, of course he's gonna be like, God, they really just don't give a fuck about me. Killing the Tusken Raiders, all that is super satisfying and harrowing to see. I love it. And I really like how the whole main plot is essentially a mystery of Obi-Wan figuring out what the hell is going on. And I like how they let you think about it and realize that Count Dooku obviously is the one who ordered the clones for the Republic. And of course, the entire battle on Geonosis with the clones versus the droids is just incredible, and it sets the whole vibe of this entire trilogy perfectly. In fact, I know this is way off topic, but in The Last Jedi, you know what would have been so satisfying and tied the sequels to the prequels or the originals? If Crate had been an abandoned droid factory instead of an old rebel outpost, and they activated all the droids again for one last fight, and you got to see the First Order fighting the droids while they make their escape. That would have been so great. But anyway, let's talk about some negatives in this movie, because there's some things that hold it back. It would be much better if these were not in it. First off, the dialogue between Anakin and Padme is absolutely atrocious. It's so bad. And I get it, Anakin is supposed to be this, angsty teenager. It's not supposed to be a kind of love you would want. It's supposed to show how possessive and weird he is. But man, it is not good. And because it's such a major part of the main story, it drags down this movie heavy, almost as much as Jar Jar drags down The Phantom Menace. Oh, and another thing, C-3PO is not funny in the prequels, man. I don't know what went wrong. He is hilarious in the original trilogy, and this humor is just not it. It feels dumbed down in a way, and I don't like it. But other than that, the whole Count Dooku against Anakin Obi-Wan fight is good. The one against Yoda is way better. I like getting to see a lightsaber fight where it's essentially two Force users just going all out on each other. That's great. Super interesting. I like they're at a standstill. It also shows that in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin beats Dooku, Anakin's leveled up heavy because this guy went toe-to-toe with Yoda. I like it. And that's why Attack of the Clones is going to get a solid B tier out of me. Next up, we have the OG, the one and only, A New Hope, the one that started it all. And obviously, this is a great movie, because otherwise, it couldn't have started a whole franchise like it did. You want to talk about world building? This is the one. It started everything, introduced the Jedi, the dark side, the best villain of all time, debatably. Even though all these movies have great soundtracks, this was the first one with the most iconic soundtrack, some of the most beautiful cinematic shots ever, and the goddamn Death Star. I mean, what more could you want? This movie is great. The dialogue in the OG Star Wars trilogy is just top tier. The humor with the droids is so funny. When they think they're getting crushed in a trash compactor, it's hilarious. How naturally all the characters are introduced and built upon. Han Solo with the crime syndicate, the price on his head, it's all so good. And I don't know if it's fair to consider this, but the prequels improve this movie a lot too by giving so much context towards the characters. One line of dialogue in this movie set off the whole Clone Wars plot, and oh my god, the vibes of this movie are just great. A galaxy past its prime, oppressed, the way Obi-Wan has PTSD and remembers the good old days, so good. The exploration of the Force, incredible. Tarkin is genuinely a scary guy, and then you get to see the flaws of the Empire with their hubris, and that's why they lose. I love it. Just a very good movie all around. The only thing I will say that really detracts from it is that, though understandable because they had a low budget and it's the first movie, the lightsaber fight is probably the worst in the series, even considering the sequels, I think. And it stands out even more because the other original trilogy movies have great lightsaber fights. The only other thing I would say is maybe this movie takes a little too long to get started. I mean, I think it's like 30 minutes that we're watching the droids on Tatooine before we even meet Luke, but it's good world building, and it's the first one they have to take the time to set it up. This movie has so many iconic moments, it's crazy, but the fact that it's middle of the pack for me on this tier list just shows how good Star Wars handled becoming a franchise. I think you failed if the first movie's the best one, honestly, so kudos to them. And for the next one, we are skipping ahead both a movie and a tier. We are now in A tier with Return of the Jedi. And you might have noticed throughout this tier list that the most important part of a story to me is the ending, and how it relates to the beginning. So as long as you land the ending, I don't really care about the rest that much. I can forgive a lot of mistakes in the middle. And boy, does Return of the Jedi end on a high note. This is such a great climax of the story, one of my favorites ever for any franchise. Darth Vader's redemption and his whole portrayal is just top notch. You get such a melancholic feeling every time he talks throughout this movie, talking with Luke on the bridge about how it's too late for him. They do so much with so little with Darth Vader. And the way he is such a lost cause, and the only thing that could possibly bring him back is the love of his son refusing to give up on him, is perfect. His fall to the dark side was to protect his family, and his redemption and return to the light was to protect his family. It's so beautiful. Obi-Wan couldn't get through to him, Padme couldn't get through to him, nobody could. Only Luke. Refusing to fight and live up to the memory of who his father used to be. Luke's progression from an idiot farm boy to an absolute badass is so great. The fact he ignores Yoda, he ignores Obi-Wan, that all say, you can't save Vader, there's nothing left of him, and he would rather die than kill his own father. So beautiful, showing that he is the best of all the Jedi. He is what the Jedi are supposed to be. The way this movie toys with Luke turning to the dark side, seeing the anger come out of him, especially in the throne room scene when he's hiding from Vader, and Vader threatens Leia, and that's what makes him lose his cool and give in to the dark side to fight Vader. It's so good. The way this movie just completely reframes Vader as a character is incredible. He goes from the big bad, scary menace to a victim, like a slave of the Emperor. It's so great. And though the Emperor is one note, he is so entertaining. He just loves being evil so much. It makes me happy for him that he gets to be so evil. I like that he has a good plan for against the rebels. The whole Endor trap is very well thought out. I enjoy it a lot. I like that the Death Star is operational. It's cool. I don't even mind they reuse the Death Star because it's used in a creative way. I like how far Han has come in the story by this movie. It's great. I like his dynamic with Lando. It's so satisfying, dude. I even like how on Endor, they get that night to celebrate before the big battle. I love when stories do that. It's like in The Walking Dead in Season 7, right before they're about to declare war on Negan, and Rick and Michonne are going to get supplies, and they basically treat it like a honeymoon. I love it. I love when they get that reprieve from the pressure. And speaking of Endor, I think it's hilarious. Again, C-3PO's humor in the original trilogy is great, and it's so missing in every other iteration of him. And that really just goes towards the dialogue and humor of the entire original trilogy. Like, it's just so dry and witty. And I think the humor in the prequel trilogy tends to be more slapstick, which is kind of not my thing. And I really like the whole rescue mission to save Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt. I will say, I don't like how they killed Boba Fett. I think it was kind of silly, and they could have done something way better. They could have kept him around for the fight at Endor. He could have been like the general there, and then Han Solo could have beat him there. That would have been better. I do like Princess Leia killing Jabba the Hutt, that's nice. But I think they spend so long on Endor in this movie that the middle of the movie tends to drag a little bit. Again, nothing crazy. I don't mind the Ewoks, I think it's fine. But I don't really need that whole big speeder chase, especially lasting as long as it does. But yeah, this movie definitely deserves such a great ending for the story of Star Wars. Now, travel back in time with me for a bit, because we are going to Rogue One, our first S tier. If anything good has come out of Disney acquiring Star Wars, it is Rogue One and Andor. Speaking of which, I am extremely excited to watch Season 2. But anyway, that's not on this tier list. Rogue One did such an amazing job at fleshing out the Rebellion and the Empire when both those factions were really simple. beforehand. Rogue One elevated the conflict between the rebels and the Empire to be as interesting in my eyes as the Republic versus the Separatists in the prequels. There's gray area. I like how it presents the rebels as like capable of doing bad things, like they're damn near a terrorist organization. I like it. The Empire is finally really scary outside of Vader and the Emperor. They have awesome new troops, new designs for everything, and it fits perfectly because all of it is destroyed by the end of the movie. The way they made different variants and cool ideas about stormtroopers and all that is honestly way more interesting than the sequels did. And yeah, maybe the whole movie exists to cover up something that was kind of a plot hole with the Death Star, but it doesn't matter because they made a phenomenal movie around it. And personally, I love it when Star Wars steps away from the Force and the Jedi and the Sith and lets us focus on the average everyday person. Characters like Saw Gerrera just make the Rebels so much more interesting. And on the Empire side, you get to see Krennic getting shut out by Tarkin. It makes Tarkin kind of a scary guy. I love it. And Krennic is like getting bullied, and he's the kind of villain that you don't have to take seriously, but like the way he loses control and gets angry is kind of like Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2, and like, it's just so entertaining to watch. I really love him as a character. And I love Galen Erso a lot too. I think he's very interesting. I like getting to see that like a lot of people have to work for the Empire against their will, which is something that was not explored in the original trilogy. And I think Jyn Erso is a really good protagonist. In fact, I kind of like all the side characters in this movie, and seeing them all go to the end of the movie and slowly dying off, knowing none of them are going to make it, it just makes it feel like one of the most serious Star Wars stories we've ever gotten, which is a very welcome change of pace. Also, Rogue One has maybe the best or one of the best droids ever introduced in Star Wars, who is absolutely hilarious. I love this guy. And while I really like Cassian Andor, mostly because of his own show, if I had just watched this movie, I wouldn't have been interested in the character pretty much at all. But in retrospect, with Andor existing, he's very interesting in this movie as well. Again, though, I don't think that should really count towards the merits of this movie because it's retroactively improved. That's not even to mention that every single planet introduced in this movie is visually distinct and interesting. The farming planet looks cool. I've never seen anything like that in Star Wars. Jeddah is cool with all the Jedi statues around. Even the rainy planet with the Imperial base on it looks cool. And Scarif. Ooh, Scarif is perfection.
I want to go to the island. Why won't you let me go? Let me go.
And that's not even mentioning that the space battle over Scarif might just be the best space battle in Star Wars. It's pretty close though. But yeah, mostly I just absolutely love the vibe. I love the world building. I love the whole setting of this movie. I love how it gives you a different perspective on the entire story of Star Wars. It's really good. And it's nice to finally see the Empire be competent. Absolutely deserved S-tier movie. We're getting towards the end of the road here, folks. So it's time for me to tell you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop your own tier list for these movies in the comments. And you should probably do it, because if you don't, I'll kill you. So I'd do it. Anyway, only 2 left, and we have to pick who's going to be number 2 right now. This is a tough one, but I'm going to be putting Empire Strikes Back in the number 2 spot in S tier. This is damn near a perfect movie in my eyes. Every character's story is just so well done. I love how Han Solo is really just trying to go pay off his debts, but he keeps getting sucked back into it to keep Leia safe. And in the end of the movie, the past finally catches up to him because he keeps putting it off. He gets punished for being the good guy. I love Boba Fett's introduction, how he takes him away. He's very menacing. We don't even get to see that much of him. In my opinion, this movie has the best humor in Star Wars. Every scene with Han Solo and C-3PO is absolute gold. In fact, I would say Han and Leia's story is the best part of the whole movie. The whole I love you, I know scene is great. Their whole dynamic is honestly just super satisfying to watch. Lando is so charismatic, and I love seeing him betray them, and I love seeing Vader bully him over and over, pushing him further and further with these bad deals, until he finally realizes there's no negotiating with the Empire. Speaking of which, it is hard to decide if Vader's best showing is here or in Return of the Jedi. I will say, as a villain, this is his peak. He is so great in this movie. He is scary as hell. He's so nonchalant, the way he invites them to dinner. The fight with Luke where he's just toying with him is so great. And it honestly makes up for the lack of effects, in hindsight. Because he's not trying to kill him. So it makes sense that he's not doing anything crazy. It's definitely one of my favorite lightsaber fights in the whole series. The plot twist that he's his father, absolutely phenomenal, one of the greatest ever. The introduction of Yoda going crazy in Solitude is great. The training, I like it a lot. I like seeing a better explanation of the Force. I like how Yoda tells him, do not go. You have to move past this if you want to be strong enough to beat Vader. Luke goes and he gets his fucking ass beat. It's a classic hero's journey. The settings, the world building, it's honestly the perfect sequel. Every single topic introduced in A New Hope is expanded upon and improved in this movie. Even the settings in this movie are so great. Like Cloud City is absolutely gorgeous. Hoth and Dagobah are great planets. Yeah, it's really, there's not that much to say because the reason it's good is simple. It just takes every single thing in A New Hope and improves it. It's just phenomenal. If you have this as your number one, I'm not even mad, I understand. But there can only be one winner, and the definitive S-tier Star Wars movie is just Revenge of the Sith. It's that simple. Everything that works about the prequels is on full display here. Everything great about the original trilogy is set up here. This movie existing improves the original trilogy so much. It adds so much extra depth to every character, Obi-Wan Kenobi most of all. The performance given here is just incredible. It literally makes Alec Guinness's performance seem better when you watch the original movie. This movie just ties the entire franchise together. It is like the definitive Star Wars movie. Getting to see the payoff of all the groundwork Palpatine has laid to get into power, seeing him accomplish Order 66, one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the whole franchise, seeing Anakin's turn, his fall, the way the Jedi brush him off again, and he finally snaps, all for it to be in vain and Padme dies anyway. There's a reason Anakin is the most iconic tale of tragedy in modern media. And the dynamic between him and Obi-Wan is so well earned over the course of these three movies, and is a big reason why Obi-Wan is my favorite Star Wars character ever. The chemistry is just there, and seeing them have to face each other, and Obi-Wan have to realize what Anakin has become, absolutely devastating. This is the most emotional Star Wars movie by far. And General Grievous, oh my god, he is so cool. If only the sideshows they wrote after this had made him cooler. The one thing I didn't like about the Clone Wars show is how much of a bitch it made Grievous. He could have been one of the coolest villains ever in Star Wars. He has so much potential. They need to make a spin-off show about his origins. This movie has so much spectacle. Seeing all the battles raging across the galaxy and all these incredible locations, like every single planet introduced in this movie is like an instant classic. Every performance is just knocking it out of the park here, especially Palpatine. Like when he's telling Anakin the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, and you just like see the little smile on it, like the satisfaction in his face recounting the story. This movie is just so incredible, it almost like erases the flaws of the prequels. And even though this movie has some, I think the dialogue is kind of rough in places. If they got rid of like 5 cringy lines of dialogue, it would be like a 10 out of 10 perfect movie. Oh, and the other thing is the fight between Mace Windu and Palpatine isn't that well choreographed, I will say, but it is more than made up for with the Obi-Wan Grievous fight and the Obi-Wan Anakin fight, and the Yoda Palpatine fight. But all these little flaws are just so overshadowed by the incredible emotional weight of the main story that it doesn't matter. That's the thing with the prequels, man. People like to say that the only reason people hate the sequels is because they just came out and people felt the same way about the prequels. But the difference is the prequels had good bones, man. Even the problem in those movies, the dialogue, it just doesn't matter because the story underneath it is so incredible that you just overlook that. You know, a good movie makes you forget the flaws. Not to mention the existence of the prequel movies dramatically increase how good the originals are, and the existence of the sequels decrease it. I mean, I don't really care though. You can rank the movies however you feel like, and I suggest you do in the comments. Let me know how people's opinions differ. I definitely understand if you put Empire above this, but again, to me, the ending of a story is just by far the most important part. If you nail that, I can forgive damn near anything else. And this is the end of the story, and they nail it. So that's why it's above The Empire Strikes Back for me. But listen, this is a long-ass video. That's going to do it for this one. Please, please, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, join the community, and I'll see you in the next episode of HeadCannon.